Welcome into Trust the Process Live, and a good welcome into the first Victory Monday of this 2022, 2023 inaugural season. I'm never really sure of the years, but I want to jump right into it because there's a lot of football to talk. A weird week one, boys. Very entertaining and drama-filled week one. So let's just jump right into it. I'm your host, James Hyde, here with my guys, Josh Safran and Max Coolish. Gentlemen, I'm not going to ask you how you're doing because I know how you're doing. I understand it. I know how you're doing. Let's get right into it. 38-35. Win over Man Campbell's knee-biting, gritty, tough Detroit Lions. They don't have enough grit to come back, even though they might have, but we're going to stick with the positivity first, all right? What's the biggest positive you took from game one, Maximilian Coolish?
A.J. Brown, man.
Yep.
I'm the broken record here. I promise I'll be done with it after this
week.
It. Talk about a dominant wide receiver one. There's been a lot of talk since yesterday that the Terrell Owens comparison is there. And frankly, I think it's warranted at this point. One game's a lot, but the skill set is similar. The builds are similar. Like even if you look at 40 times, they're actually closer than you would think. Like,
damn,
if we traded for Terrell Owens, let's do it, man. Who the Rams? Are you telling me the Rams and the Bucks and the Packers look convincing enough that I can't dream Super Bowl after 1 week? I'm going full Josh Safran mode here, but offensively, the Eagles look like they could be the class of the NFC this year.
I'll be honest. It definitely had to do with my opinion being colored by I had him on my fantasy team last year, and he was hurt for most of last year. But I forgot how much of an absolute monster he is with yards after catch. I completely forgot that dude is ridiculous after the catch. But Josh Safran, your biggest positive you took away from yesterday's 30.
You deserve this, Josh. We both deserve this
week. You know exactly what my biggest positive is. My biggest positive is the Duke, Jalen Hurts, and how damn great he was in week one of this season. All the noise about this Eagles team this year, man, none of it has been about the defense. And I'm jumping the gun here. Let me just take my victory this week one of Jalen Hurts. All right. Because first of all, let's talk about his maturity real quick. The Lions came out hungry. That crowd
first quarter Super Bowl.
That was the Lions Super Bowl. And they came out and what did they blitz on the first 10 plays? It felt like at least. And all 10 of those blitzes got home easily. All 10 of those blitzes really rattled Hurts in the Eagles offense. And I think that there's no doubt in my mind that a year ago today, I guess a year ago, week one, this Eagles team falls flat on their face. Jalen Hurts even probably falls flat on their face. People always have a problem with Jalen Hurts. Oh, does he have the ability to throw? Blah, blah, blah. Who cares if he has the ability to throw, if he has the ability to make plays and win games? For me, it was Jalen Hurts' legs in that first quarter that kept the Eagles afloat just long enough for the Lions to get their sea legs and realize, oh, we're the Lions, and for the Eagles to realize they were the Eagles. After that, fellas, the rest was history. I thought Jalen Hurts quarterback a fantastic game. He ran a fantastic game. I will go as far as saying, I'll make the case that Jalen Hurts had the third best week one out of any quarterback in the NFL. Book that.
Behind who?
Mahomes and I believe Josh Allen. You make a case for Justin Herbert, but I don't know about it. I'd go with Jalen Hurts because of what he did with his legs, man.
That's a whole nother argument. I don't want to jump into that. My positive from week one is going to be Miles Sanders looking like he's not running. He's not. He did yesterday. He didn't look like he was running against the tide of people. You know what I mean? Like he used to run like he was trying to prove something. And yesterday, I'll be honest, he overcame some poor offensive line play to score his first touchdown in 2 years. So I think that's good. I think the real weapon in the backfield is still Kenny Gainwell, like utility-wise. But I think that yesterday was a very positive showing from Miles Sanders, which is not something I thought I would say, gentlemen.
And I mean, he picked it up too. If we pulled you at the first half or whatever, it'd be like, I mean, obviously he didn't literally like win the game for him, but he made the play that won this team the game.
Exactly. And let's stay positive. Let's stay positive here. I know we only asked one. I know I asked your biggest positive, but give me your favorite positive. Okay, I want to stay positive here because I know there's more positive things you want to say. And guys, we just started the show and we're already done the first question. That's not. I don't. As the moderator here, I can't let that happen.
Never goes that fast.
Yeah, time-wise, I can't let this happen. So continue being positive with me. I'm going back around, Josh. What's your favorite thing that you saw yesterday? And just be more positive with me.
All right. I mean, listen, I'm not gonna lie. Like, how about this? Because I have a lot of bad things to say. I'll be honest with you, gentlemen. But it sounds so vanilla, my answer right here. But the fact that they just put up 38 points on the road. And I know, like I think the Chiefs put up, 44, which is the only one higher, I want to say. But, I mean, it's hard for me not to harp on Jalen Hurts, but the whole offseason was, wow, this defense got stronger. And yeah, I mean, the other part of this offense, this offseason was talking about A.J. Brown, but it was so different to see this team consistently put up, 38 points, and then doing that after they got punched in the first quarter. I mean, I don't know about you, Digits. Give me your meter. Like, I was full. You guys know me. I'm very. I'm just
going to pick it up right there because that's my big positive. They handled resistance and they showed resiliency. I was very impressed with how they weathered the storm. I thought it was going to take them until the second half to take control of that game. We discussed that privately off air after the show last week. That I did not feel confident in the Eagles looking good in the first half. I thought that the Detroit Super Bowl feel would last much longer than 9 minutes of the first quarter, which is really all it felt like it took for the Eagles kind of to find their footing, which I was really most impressed with because let's be honest, this is a lot different of a team than it was last year. A lot of the players are the same, but the expectation is different. That's how you have to tell. You can't tell a team is legit contenders or if they have any real chance of making noise because everything changes when the spotlight's on you. Like, I like Joe Burrow. I like the Bengals. But look what changes when happens when you're the 7.5-point favorite against your division rival. Really, it's not the other way around. It's a little bit different. So I think this team responded to that newfound pressure and the newfound expectation. And I think they rose to the occasion pretty well on that front.
Anybody else take the Steelers to cover yesterday?
Let's
go, baby.
They just texted me yesterday morning, and I was like, come on, man. Steelers? Like, what? What's wrong with you?
Yeah,
come on, Josh.
Man.
It's that division, man. I got two positives. What's that, Josh?
Go ahead. After you, I want to throw out a little food for thought also.
Okay, good. I got two positives. I got one is, and I'm eating a lot of crow today because one of my positives is TJ Edwards. I didn't think he was a starting linebacker. I think there's still
there's better starting linebackers. You can say it.
Yeah, there's still a lot to prove with TJ. I think Nakobe deserved more than 3 snaps, and I think he will get there as time goes on. But it's just like he's one of those guys that you wouldn't draft in the top 5 rounds, but he's everywhere on tape. Like you turn on the tape and it's TJ Edwards. Oh, TJ, there's TJ. It just keeps happening. So good for him. That was very welcome to see. I really like Kaiser Wet.
I was going to say, can't believe we made it this far without mentioning this defense's abilities to create turnovers potentially.
Yeah, I really do. I think we were all kind of positive. We were all kind of up on Kaiser White, though.
Definitely.
We were all kind of early on that train.
Certainly by comparison to the last, 10 years? You have to be.
Yeah.
It feels like it.
Yeah. I think he was just underutilized, and the Chargers have had a deep enough linebacking core where they didn't get to use him fully. But my second positive is going to be I just really like what Hard Knocks has done for the Detroit Lions fans.
Yes.
Because it felt good to see Ford Field rocking. You know what I mean? You used to turn a Lions game on and it was you'd see one family having a whole section to themselves. And it just, it just didn't feel hopeless when watching a Lions game anymore. I didn't feel like Detroit was a city of 50.
Hand up. There was a point in time in that game in the fourth quarter where I got a little uneasy. I felt a little uneasy.
Yeah. It felt nice. It felt nice to watch a Lions game and not be sorry for the Lions. You know what I mean? That's so. Josh, what's your food for thought?
Right on that. And kind of going into our next question here, right? Obviously the Eagles almost blew it, but I find myself wondering, because I watched Hard Knocks. I thought it was the best one. I loved it. I want to know what you two think. Are the Lions not as bad as we may think? I know the Eagles are a lot to blame for letting them back in there, but DeAndre Swift is clearly a top 5 running back, and their offensive line is clearly good. I'm starting to think more maybe you should give the Lions, we should be giving the Lions a bit more credit.
I still think the Lions are going to struggle in situations where they're behind. I don't. Jared Goff has not shown to be a gunslinger enough to bring you back from down 14 with 20 minutes or less left to play in a game. But I will say, I think that if you go back to last year, the Lions took the lead in a fair amount of games. I think almost, if not half, close to it. The Lions held a lead at some point. I think they'll be, I think they're more experienced, but I think their offensive line is better, and DeAndre Swift is a year better, and Jamal Williams looks like he hasn't aged at all. I think Detroit is going to have probably a top 10 offensive line by the time it's all said and done at the end of this year. And I think that they're going to be able to ride a running game in those ugly games, especially later on in the year.
And they were missing two guys. They were missing two guys on the offensive line.
I thought they were just missing one.
I thought they were missing Ragnow on their guard.
Yeah, I just knew about Ragnow. I didn't know about the other guy. I'll take the word for it.
I want to check the line because I see the Commanders are going into Detroit next week, and I think
if the Lions are playing back-to-back home games,
the Lions are -1.5 favorites.
Let's go.
Good for them.
Never mind. I'll root for you, Lions, but I'm not going to put my hard-earned money on you.
This is the 2016 draft showdown.
This one's tough for me, though. The trend in the NFL is a lot of guys who weren't starters and are very analytical and very very peripheral and theoretical in the game planning. The Lions staff is all former players, and not recent former players from an age that's bygone in the NFL in terms of scheme wise. That's not saying they can't adapt. Of course they can. They're smarter than all of us. But I just don't like. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a great wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 on an 11 personnel team. I just don't see
Max and I did this exact conversation, I think, last week. I'm not
DeAndre Swift is the only guy that I can look at and be like, that's a guy.
You do make a great point about the old school philosophy stuff. If you go back to DeAndre Swift's rushing touchdown, I literally had to rewind my TV to make sure that I wasn't seeing them in a slightly offset I formation. No, that is quite literally the old school 1946 Chicago Bears shit that hasn't been in Madden in 15 years.
That was Deuce Staley. Deuce Staley went home and he had a good time looking at that.
Think about that one, Vanish.
Deuce Staley had a great time looking at that.
I wasn't even mad at that touchdown. It was honestly, it was pretty awesome to see it be that was the easiest touchdown they got all day. That was
whole coaching staff is names that people will recognize. Aaron Glenn, we know exactly what Aaron Glenn wants to do as a defensive coordinator. He wants to press from zone blitzing schemes. Kelvin Shepard, Kelvin, what's his last name? The linebackers coach. All of this. Mark Brunell is the quarterbacks coach. Hank Fraley, Eagles fans should know that name. He's the offensive line coach. This whole team is former players from
Randall L.
Randall L is the wide receivers coach.
Randall, yeah.
It's literally the whole team is former players. So I want them to be good simply for this is a whole team that packs fucking choppers when they go to work.
Oh my god.
You know what I mean? And they're
Dan Campbell's got a fat lip in at all times.
I want it to work. I'm just not sure if it can compete with the guys who weren't as talented as them, but were much more savvy with the X's and O's, a certain head coach who wears purple now, who was a 3rd-round draft pick, but was more brains than brawn.
Well, look, you saw it. You saw it, though. I mean, what Dan Campbell said, the 2022 Lions will compete, and that's just what happened yesterday, right? They were more in shape. The Eagles were probably a little winded, and quite frankly, the Eagles' defense just wasn't willing to compete for 60 minutes, and that's what the Lions were. And one of these weeks, they're gonna steal one.
So let's go off that then. Our next question, and I think we could go in a bunch of different directions here. It's week 1, so obviously there was a lot of slop around the league in terms of tackling and everything like that. Obviously, with the trends of starters not playing at all in the preseason and such, there's going to be some stuff to be ironed out. Every team saw it. So we're going to go around, Max. I want to come to you first. What concerns you the most, and how concerned are you about it moving forward about the Philadelphia Eagles after their win against the Detroit Lions?
Are we allowed to say tackling? Because it looked extra bad. It did look pretty – it looked abnormally bad, even for early on in the season. So I'm a little bit worried about that. I want to I want to stay as even keeled as possible here. And I'm not ready to do the Jonathan Gannon stuff must go yet.
Come on, let's do it.
But I'll leave that for one of
35
you.
points to the Lions.
Look, man, I'm not going to do that just yet. They clearly just decided to coast when they went up 17 in the fourth quarter. The Lions team is not. That's not a team you do that against. Like the Lions don't care if they're down 17 with 4 minutes to play. In their mind, they can recover back to back onside kicks and win the game. You know what I mean? So I'm trying not to read into it too much, but I can't be totally honest and not say like last year's what's a good word for it? Kind of the lifeless performances we saw from last year's. The ones without maybe the prideless performances, right? Where they just kind of allowed themselves, they just allowed themselves to get chunked. I actually remember early on, like I think it was probably on the Lions' second drive after they were already up 7-0. I believe it was on third down. They blitzed, and I was like, I love this. Like that was the perfect play call. It was a good blitz. I was like, I love this from Gannon. So I saw some stuff when they were playing from behind and the game was more competitive. I think obviously the personnel was going to make things a little bit easier last year. I think that was really put on display with the Kaiser White, James Bradbury pick six play. Like
definitely
with the guys playing in those respective positions last year, that's probably not an interception at all at best. So
good point.
I think I'm still going to try and keep my optimism here, but there is a little part of my brain in the very back that's just like, please don't let me see what I saw last year at all those, all the bad times, right? Like the bad times were so glaring and it was so obvious what was going wrong. And I just don't want to go back to that because I saw some of that in the fourth quarter. But I'm willing to chalk that up to being up 3 possessions and in control of the game with a running game that hadn't really been stopped all day.
Josh, what are you most concerned about and how concerned are you about it?
It's a two-pronged attack here. I'm extremely concerned about the front four and / Jonathan Gannon as a whole. When Max and I had our little episode last week, I said the thing that would really get me excited about this entire season based on week 1 would be getting to the quarterback. And I'll say they didn't do it once, right? In the box score, they have 1 sack. That doesn't count. The ball was dropped, like whatever. Like that does not even count to me. The fact that you couldn't get to that quarterback one time that entire game, and to our point that we were saying earlier, sure, the Lions have a decent offensive line. 2 of their guys were out, or 1.5. I think the one center was really banged up, but whatever. Like this is supposed to be a marginally good defensive line, a defensive line that was also very upgraded from last season. So just the combination of both not getting to the quarterback, and it just felt every play like they were getting pushed back so much on every DeAndre Swift rush. There was just no answer. And I guess I don't know what I'm looking for with Jonathan Gannon, right? Because there's a lot of these numbers that say the teams that blitz the most give up the most yardage like year after year. So like I'm not saying like, oh, you got to blitz more, blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line is I think going into this game, win or loss, I think a fair number would be like a 24, right? Like giving up 24-ish points would be like way too much going against the Lions. And they put up 35 points on the Eagles, and they really looked helpless against the run. And I know I'm jumping the gun here, but boys, we're going against Dalvin Cook. I mean, obviously not Banners. Banners is Dalvin Cook in this situation, but Dalvin Cook, man, and Kirk Cousins is better than Jared Goff. Like, it scares me a whole lot moving forward this season, just seeing how much that D-line got pushed around.
To go off that, I mentioned this to Josh pregame. There's a stat floating out there now that the Eagles' defensive line, which is where I was going to go before Josh had the like mind there. The Eagles' defense average or allowed 2.5, maybe like just under 3 yards per rush with Jordan Davis on the field.
I saw this too, Banners. That's why I was just on my phone. I thought I DM'd it to myself on the TTP account.
Yep.
I didn't. I
so
saw
like
this.
Just under 3 yards per rush with Jordan Davis off the field. 10 yards
10 even. 10 yards a carry.
10 yards a carry even with Jordan Davis not on the field. And Jordan Davis is not going to be on the field the whole game, guys. Let me put it this way. I don't think my level of worry in Fletcher Cox has changed because I think I'm like, for the past couple of years, we've all known what we're going to get from Fletcher. There's going to be some games where you're questioning the work ethic and everything like that, unfortunately. But I think I'm more worried about Hargrave because I don't really know what I saw from him yesterday. It wasn't even like up and down. It was like it plateaued.
He was ineffective.
It plateaued below average. Like, it wasn't up and down. Like, if we're talking like a median line, he plateaued down here. It was like a really weird, just like, all right, I'm kind of waiting for the guy who was last year's Eagles MVP for the first like 7 weeks. He was their best player on the defensive side, and it was just terribly ineffective.
And I guess
before we move on, I just kind of want to piggyback on this because that was my other complaint that I had was kind of the lack of playing time for Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, especially because it's much easier to ease in new guys when all they have to do is see ball carrier, tackle ball carrier, and the lines are going to do that, right? Like, that's what Jordan Davis is there for. If you want Nakobe Dean to get adjusted to NFL speed and playing in the NFL, have him play against the Lions who are going to hand the ball off 30 times a game. The Lions were handing the ball from 1st and 10 in the fourth quarter down 17. I remember clowning about it, and I was like, whatever. They're eventually going to get their garbage points, which is kind of going back to my last point. I'm not really putting a ton of stock into the fourth quarter just yet because of one single performance. But I think that I was disappointed with the lack of those two, especially Jordan Davis against a team wants to run the ball a ton.
So I'll tell you what so that was my piggyback off of Josh's point. What I'm actually concerned about, and going back to my previous takes, I'm very concerned about it, is Jalen Hurts is a passer. And Josh, you made a very good point. You made the right point about the playmaking ability as a quarterback and as a whole. But Jalen Hurts is a passer. Don't get me wrong. I think A.J. Brown deserved every single target he got yesterday. Devontae Smith can't come out of a game with 3 targets. That's just not like Dallas Goedert. We talked about him being a key to this offense.
He had a pretty solid game.
We're not looking for solid games. It's against the Detroit Lions.
When one guy gets 15 targets, you're winning most of the game. There's not going to be a ton of targets to go around. Goddard went for 4 for 70 yards. I think that's a pretty solid effort from a guy when someone's getting 60% of the target share.
Let me phrase it to you this way though: wouldn't you think that there would be more targets spread around in a 38-35 game?
Yes, absolutely. And then for argument's sake, you can call 31 because there's a defensive touchdown. And even still, I totally agree with you. Yep. I'm concerned about that too. I'm glad I was going to bring that up.
For me, that's not a concern because that's not how the Eagles play. The Eagles still are a run first team.
So let me phrase that to you this way. Wasn't one of our biggest points was to get away from how the Eagles have played and to see them play how we think they should play?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that early on was more so the fact that the offensive line did not start the game great. The first quarter they were pretty bad. Hurts started 0 for 5. I think a lot of Hurts running, especially early on, was more out of necessity.
I agree.
He was looking to pass as much as he could, but there was a lot of times where he just simply did not have the time to make an accurate throw without it being extremely,
Even after that, though, the efficiency numbers were not what you would like to see. It's just the continued evolution.
I saw some pretty good throws yesterday. I think the one that really stands out is the one to AJ Brown down the right sideline, which was absolute dime.
So wait, if we're going to start picking out some throws, there's 2 I want to pick out to answer banners or to respond to banners.
Is one of them the slant route across the middle to AJ Brown?
Exactly. So that's the one. So earlier in the game, I believe, I was going to say, I think it was AJ Brown. Well, it sure as hell wasn't anyone else. It was definitely AJ Brown, left side. The Eagles were going left to right. Pretty early in the game. AJ Brown beats his first man immediately, and Hurts grossly underthrows it. Now, I think there was a little bit something to that so he didn't lead him into the safety. So at first glance, it looked awful, but then you see the replay from a different view, and there was a safety who was coming down. Nonetheless, that was a very poor throw.
Hurts isn't throwing that ball to Devontae Smith.
So then, part 2, later in the game, he's throwing these timing routes. He's got a lot of zip and confidence on these throws, which I didn't see at all last season. I didn't see that at all. But Banners, to your point, only to A.J. Brown. He only has that connection. And you know what I'm talking about? If he thread the needle, the linebacker's hand is coming through. A.J. Brown's shielding his man. It was a perfect throw. But to your point of concern, I think the whole best friend narrative with A.J. Brown is true, and it's going to be good 90% of the time, but there's going to be that 10% of the time where he's forcing it to A.J. Brown, where we're going to get a quote from Devontae Smith after a game, after a tough loss to an NFC East opponent about how he should have gotten the ball like once or twice more.
I don't think Devontae's like that, though.
I don't think he's like that, but
I don't think he's like that either, but he's only
he won't be the one to say it, but someone will, because there will be another 14-3 target disparity.
There's going to be noise
in a shitty loss against the Giants or something. Yeah,
Max, I'm going to pause this right here because I need to show everybody this. This is a name that Max and I know. This is my work wife right here.
Mickey Grace. I haven't seen that name in years. I gotta dust off my glasses to make sure that I'm seeing correctly here.
This is Mick right here. Fantastic coach up at University of Connecticut right now. If you don't know Mickey Grace, that means you've been living under a rock. I don't even know which.
Watching 4 years ago.
Yeah, I don't even know which special on which network to cite, because there's been way too many about how fantastic she's been coaching any number of football teams in the Philadelphia area. So Mick, hey, we love you. We miss you. It's always good to see you. Come back and comment again. We've had ET. We much prefer you commenting on the show than Everett Terry. So it's good to see Mick right there. Hopefully, hey, best of luck to University of Connecticut Huskies. You know what? We'll come back to that. We'll keep an eye on how the Huskies do this year. Any other concerns here, gentlemen?
I feel like we covered it.
One last thing before we kind of move off the general scheme of the game. I was very impressed with Britton Covey as a punt returner. Very impressed.
Great point. Agreed. He's already better than Reagor.
I would 100% agree. He was very composed. There was a couple dicey punts where I'm not going to lie. There was one, I think it was in the fourth quarter, where someone was backing up into him.
Someone ran into him.
Caught it, fair caught, and just looked at him. He's holding the ball. He's just like, no, you got to do this. Just like,
yep.
Extremely composed. I feel much better about the Eagles special teams than I did a week ago.
He's way quicker than I thought too. I almost thought I was watching. I thought I was watching Devin Allen there for a second. I think it was in the third quarter. There was one where he just kind of shot up the middle.
Turkey.
He was quick.
Yeah. Elusive.
Let's see. Third question. Rookies hardly played. I apologize. Is this an indication of things to come, Josh, or should we be more optimistic about how these rookies figure into the game plan moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me personally, and I kind of think you guys are going the other way here, but I think this is kind of a tough pill to swallow. Like, I think this is an indication of things to come, more or less. Like, I was expecting to see a Jordan Davis show, and not even like I expected them to bring the telestrator out and be like, "Oh, you're not going to see this on the box score. Let's see number 90 taking out 2 blocks." And I never.
He wasn't on the field enough.
I never saw any of that.
I kind of disagree, because I think this game really showed that how valuable Jordan Davis is. Like, the Eagles were getting gashed by the run. Like, I think Jordan Davis is almost has to be a shoo-in for more playing time consistently moving forward from here on out. I do think we're still in the early stages of the Nakobe Dean project.
But Digits, I mean, wasn't that the thing that people said was wrong with him when the Eagles drafted? Is that he's not on the field all the time. So for me, this is kind of like a tough pill to swallow. I'm not going to sit here and rag on Jordan Davis, but don't you think that if he was able to play and they thought it was good for him to play more, he would have? I hope they can work him up a little more as the season goes on. But to me, that was a concern. And then for Nakobe Dean, I didn't have any huge expectations for him, but 3 plays, yikes. I think I said something about week 6, week 7, he might be the one getting the start. And look, it's week 1 overreactions. How can you not? I really don't think that's the case. I think it's going to be if they have to, if in case of emergency, break glass type deal.
Let me put it to you this way. I think you're going to see more of both, strictly because of what happened. We found out today that Derek Barnett tore his ACL.
Yeah.
Because I think you're going to see way more 3-4 principles, which is going to push Jordan Davis to the defensive tackle position and make your defensive ends Hargrave and Cox. So by extension, more edge rushers on the field, which means Nakobe Dean is going to have to play more of the coverage Mike linebacker situation in a 3-4. So I think because of Barnett, who's a more traditional 4-3 hand in the dirt rusher, you're going to have to go more 3-4 principle. and stick both of them in there more. I'm not sure about the other rookies. Those are just the two obviously.
Let's be honest. We can call spade a spade. Those are the two we care about.
Those are the two we care about, and those are the two that are
those
closest.
Are the big names. Those were the premium.
Exactly.
Those were the premium draft picks. It's fair.
Yeah.
Those are the two that are closest to playing time. So I think, and I obviously nobody likes to see any injuries. Obviously, you wish Derek Barnett well and a speedy recovery, but I think because of that, you're going to have to change. And hey, we made a big deal of it all off season. How is Jonathan Gannon going to take to this change in defensive philosophy that he never really learned? And he's going to have to learn on the fly, and you do with what you have.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But are there any other rookies that you can think of that like are close to playing time?
AJ Brown, first round draft pick.
Right. AJ Brown's a rookie. He's a rookie. His first year on the Eagles. That's a rookie, right?
Fair enough. Last question of the main event here. This is kind of, I think, where we're going to spend most of our time tonight, guys.
Oh, God.
First prime time matchup of the season. Monday night game versus the Minnesota Vikings coming into town. What are your thoughts? Let's go initially. What are your initial thoughts on this matchup? Max, I'm coming to you first. They're coming to town, obviously, Monday night game. What do you think right off the bat?
I'm definitely worried, right? I do think there is two things, right? And like both of them are one of them is definitely the Kirk Cousins narrative, right? Like I'm not the Kirk Cousins sucks guy. I think he is probably the most disrespected QB in terms of his production and talent level, to the credit that he gets, and the the collective internet joke level about him on a consistent basis. With that said, there is no denying that Monday Night Football has not been kind to him in his career. He has a terrible record, terrible passer rating. Generally, for whatever reason, Monday nights have not gone well. And at a certain point, there maybe has to be something to it, right? I think that this is the best Viking team he's ever been a part of. Probably the best team he's ever been a part of. Maybe besides that one Washington team that went to the playoffs that he kind of played on, kind of didn't. Exactly, you know what I mean. So
I think it's the best. I think
it is too. But we're one game in, and I'm trying to keep this as least knee jerky as possible.
Max, ever since the Vikings added big number 5, this is definitely the best team Kirk Cousins has been on.
True. I mean, 5 is all about the number of self-change and reflection and a new beginning. So I'll leave it at this. The way this game looks to me is that the margin for a potential Vikings victory is much more large and embarrassing potentially than an Eagles victory margin could be.
What do you mean by embarrassing?
How do you mean that?
I think that if the Eagles are going to win this game, it'll be by less than a touchdown. And if the Eagles were to lose this game, worst case scenario, it could be close to 30.
I totally agree with you. Actually, that's I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then you explained it. I'm like,
it's hard to phrase that.
Yeah,
but I think
totally
in my mind, the range of potential outcomes, all the outcomes that end with an Eagles win, means Monday Night Classic, great game, mostly wire to wire, probably going to be some lead exchanges. Whereas, Eagles lose could be like that, or the Eagles could be down 14-0 within 8 minutes and never have a chance, really.
Yeah.
Josh, what are your initial thoughts on this Monday night matchup?
All right. So, I mean, I got 11 to 12 wins on the season this year, but this is a game I have not felt good about for a long time. And it's so odd. Home opener, prime time, it's going to be loud as hell. But after watching the Vikings this week and after watching the Eagles also, I got to go with a loss. And I hate to do this, but I think it'll be a close game, Max. The thing that scares me is this is so weird to say. I forecast a shootout in this game almost. It's very hard for me to have any confidence in the Eagles defense right now, even after they spent the most money during this offseason on defensive improvement. But after seeing what DeAndre Swift was able to do, and I love DeAndre Swift, you got to make the case that Dalvin Cook's at this point in time a better running back than DeAndre Swift. If not, they're sure as hell close.
I think it's pretty close, but I think you still give the nod to Dalvin Cook.
I would too. But then you add on top of Kirk Cousins, who, Max, you said it, man. From the time I started on this show to now, I've gone from Kirk Cousins as a joke guy to, man, Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback in the NFL, and you can't take him lightly. You add Justin Jefferson into that equation. You had notorious Eagle killer Adam Thielen. I could be making that up, but I feel like he always.
No, you're correct.
This seems to me like a 31-20 29 because there's going to be an extra point missed or something like that.
Yeah,
Vikings win in a very tough, gutsy game. But I got to say, guys, I am giving a lot of credit to this Eagles offense. Like, I think they might be playing from behind a lot, and I think this Eagles offense is going to go tit for tat with the Vikings, but it's just I don't know. I hate to say it. I don't mean to be like overreaction guy, but I don't see a win here for the Birds. It sucks.
Josh, I was going to go 31-28 as well. And I was going to go back around to the
Bayou banners. I would like to see because I know obviously this is as biased as you'll ever get. You only get these opportunities every so often. I fully implore you to be your authentic self. How screwed are the Eagles if they get similar pressure amounts on Kirk Cousins as they did Jared Goff? Do they have any chance? Because I think, to me, that's where that blowout potential comes in. Is that front four gets even worse after losing Barnett, who is, like, let's be average. Barnett's probably a bang average defensive end in the context of the general NFL, and with that defensive end is now, I would say, easily the Eagles' weakest position on either side of the ball, including and special teams included. So I'm very worried about that. Kirk Cousins is a classic pocket passer where if you let him stand in there, he's going to make throws. And if you can get to him once or twice early, he will be rattled. Like Monday night games are primetime. They're against good teams. Pressure, decisions are made a little bit faster. All that stuff compounded with a good pass rush is usually what's been his unraveling in games like this. So I would like to hear your perspective of how many, what's the over under for sacks the Eagles need to get to not get killed in this game? Because that's really what's worrying me, if I'm being honest here.
Well, let me put it. I don't know if I'm going to give you a number on over under sacks. Let me put it to you this way: Kirk Cousins was under pressure 48% of the snaps yesterday,
really?
And that's what he did to the Green Bay Packers defense, which is by the numbers the third best secondary in the league and a very good defense overall.
But all their big plays came on clean pockets.
Who?
The Vikings, from what I mean, maybe I would say the majority of them from what I saw. No?
Unfortunately, no.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, there was this yesterday looked like a different Kirk Cousins in terms of there was about 5 plays that stuck out to me without rewatching the game that if I was to go back to 2020, I would say that was a fumble, and that was a game-changing fumble by Cousins, where he stepped up in the pocket. I mean, Jefferson's second touchdown, the one on the crossing route. It was a 7-step drop.
Yeah, he got smoked on that one. Yeah,
it was a 7-step drop, and he stepped up all the way back to the line of scrimmage with the edges collapsing on him around him and made a beautiful throw. So I would say if you're going to force me to give you a number, I'd say over 5 sacks for this to be.
See, that feels unattainable.
It feels unattainable. And then that I got based on what I saw, that's going to mean that the Eagles are going to have to dial
I'm not sure though, because the Vikings center and right guard yesterday graded out at like a 32 and a 28 respectively in pass coverage. So
PFF's funky for pass coverage.
They are. It's very much like the eye test and advanced metrics need to be a very happy marriage. It's no longer like a one or the other thing. So I don't know. But another thing that I want to throw at you is Kirk Cousins is 6-3 in his career against the Philadelphia Eagles and 3-3 in the league. So
not great.
Toss up.
Not great. And don't love to hear that.
To go along with that, the Vikings are it opened up 1.5 point favorites for the Eagles at home? No, 3. They're 3.5.
2.5. I saw 2.5 on FanDuel. I don't know what it is now.
I think they opened up at 3.5 point favorites at home versus the Eagles. So a pick'em game on Monday night is.
Looking forward to staying away from that responsibly.
I'm not betting it personally.
I'll take the over because I do agree. I think that I do think that at worst one team will score a decent amount and maybe 14 from the other team can get you over whatever.
Birds are 1.5 favorites as of right now.
How do you guys like? I haven't kept very close attention. I know Doug used to be, that was the whole thing. Doug used to be like Sean McVay's dad, everything like that. You know what I mean? The Eagles record versus the Rams. Is that like a thing?
Yeah, we didn't lose them. And we also, what was the other thing? It was the Rams and another team. It was the Vikings were part of that, but not to the same extent.
Was it the Niners? I'm trying to like draw.
No, we don't really ever play. Never really played
Yeah,
there.
I'm trying to draw like coaching tree because like I just don't. This is going to be tough because Justin Jefferson had he was in motion 9 plays yesterday and he was targeted 7 of the 9 times he was in motion, and he was set up in the backfield 4 times. Like you're going to see a lot of 11 personnel and you're going to see a lot of multiple looks. This is going to be a tough game for a defense that the secondary is kind of in question and your linebackers are still up in the air. You know what I mean? This was for all the lauding that Kirk got yesterday. He did not. He was like very middle of the pack in terms of air yards. So this was very much like an intermediate offense yesterday in terms of letting Jefferson catch the ball and get him in space. Adam Thielen with his 3 catches. Like it was very. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, it was a very parallel game to the Eagles. Like Jefferson was the focus of the offense.
Yeah, you guys didn't do a ton outside of Jefferson. And it also kind of felt like I agree. There's a lot of parallels. It felt like the Vikings kind of rested on their laurels at a lot of points in that game too.
Agreed.
It felt like you got if obviously you guys still ended up winning by a comfortable margin, but it felt like that game could have been. It definitely felt like at times you guys could have pressed hard.
Pulled off the reins.
I agree. Is there? Let me switch to that. Is there? Before we get into our favorite segment of the week, it's back, boys. I'm so amped about this. I thought about this last night. Is there a player that? How do I phrase this? I don't want to phrase it like the generic way. Is like, is there a player that misses anybody more than Devontae Adams? Because obviously no. But like, is there a player that should be more upset than Aaron Rodgers yesterday?
No, man. You think he thought about
that
retiring?
game was done the second that touchdown pass went through Christian Watson's hand. Over. It was over in the first quarter.
How do you go to practice again next week? Like I just can't imagine. Like especially for him specifically. I don't mean like anybody. I mean him specifically. Like he's the kind of guy who's like, I'm just not going to come.
Before the game, Greg Olsen asked Aaron Rodgers, who's on the very wrong side of 35, with Randall Cobb very close behind him. He goes, "Would you rather have 10 Randall Cobbs or 10 young guys who you could mold?" And Aaron Rodgers irrefutably answered, "I'd rather have 10 Randall Cobbs."
Oh, for sure. They're boys, man. I feel like they've been teammates on the Packers 3 separate times. Like Randall Cobb leaves, he tries to go out into the big world, and he just comes crawling back to the cows and cheese up north.
Yeah, that's tough. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's players that should be angry, but not as much as Aaron Rodgers. And with that, let's step right into our favorite segment of the week. Winners and losers. And if you haven't joined us, what we do is we go around, we tell you who our winners and losers are from week 1 of the NFL season. We're going to do it losers and then winners. So we're going to go around the room, starting with Josh Safran. You're going to tell me your loser from week 1 of the NFL.
Oh boy. Okay. I'm going to have to be okay. I got it. I was prepared for a winner, and somebody's got to say the Cowboys. All right. But I won't say it.
I'm leaving it for okay. I'll take it if you're not, because I mean
do. So my loser then, because I didn't watch the game last night, to be honest with you fellas, so it's not right.
It's not right. Fair.
It was a bad game.
My loser from week 1, and it's almost ancient history at this point, but it's the freaking LA Rams.
They look bad.
And in my defense, I did I didn't give credit where credit was due for the Bills. Clearly they deserve a lot of credit. The vibes with the Rams just feel awful, man. You hear that Aaron Donald was trying to retire. He's too busy trying to get some Yeezy cleats out. Like, to me, the whole Rams vibes almost seems like we got ours, we're good. Like, all of the stars on that team, aside from Cooper Kupp, it felt like they all just needed to get a ring to solidify their legacy, and now they had it. And now they play in LA, which is like a laid-back city, and it's okay if they don't do it again. Like, that's the vibe I got from that game, and they just were absolutely helpless in every way. You could make a case, like, honestly, you can make a case that was more about the Bills, but, like, 31-10 is awful. That game was awful. The Rams just never felt in it in the second half, and, like I said, man, I'm really just hung up on the whole Aaron Donald thing. Like, they just feel – something doesn't feel right over there.
Max, your loser from the first week of the NFL season.
I mean, it's the Cowboys. Thanks for leaving
How about
this
the
for
Cowboys?
me. Last night was a perfect shit smoothie for the Cowboys. Quarterback gets hurt, put up 3 points in 3.5 quarters. Receivers dropping the ball. obvious glaring issues with the offensive line, which they just, ignored and brought in. This is the Jason Peters, in memoriam segment. Thank you, Jason Peters, for everything you did, but you retired, so I can say whatever I want about you now that you've chosen to come back. I get that this is your childhood team, but if you need to go to Jason Peters at 40 years old and a full year removed out of the NFL to fix your left tackle problems, brother, you are in some deep shit. Brother. So Dak Prescott's expected to be out 6 to 8 weeks. And at this point, fellas, we're a week in, and I'm guaranteeing the NFC East division winner curse lives on. The Cowboys will be dead before Dak plays another snap for this team.
Have you taken a look at the NFC East odds?
Ooh.
No.
The Cowboys are now dead last.
Oh, I'm not surprised at all.
Oh, yeah. Has Brian Daboll fixed Daniel? No, I'm sorry. We're not going to do that. I could go many places here. I could go the Colts. I could go the Titans. I could go the Cardinals. But I'm going down to freaking Carolina and whatever that was.
Really?
Oh man!
You should have taken the low hanging fruit because I think that's not even close to the stinker the Packers should.
Really? I'm with Panthers, man, and I got burned too. I bet on the Panthers.
This revenge tour for supposed Baker Mayfield revenge tour versus the Browns and Jacoby Brissett. This is.
I think it's tainted for me because we like to talk about the refs as fans. The refs quite literally blew that game for the Panthers. They allowed the Browns to. You're not so there's a rule in the NFL rule book that you're not allowed to fake spike, come up, and then actually spike. Or else it should be ruled as an intentional grounding. The Browns did that, and if they had done that, that would have put them at a 70-yard field goal instead of the 60-yard game winner. I don't like to do the refs thing too much, but when I saw that, and that was verified, by people who know the NFL rulebook inside and out, for me that personally disqualified the Panthers from any mockery this week. To me,
I don't know, man. I'm with you and all, but it's the Browns with Jacoby Brissett. They shouldn't.
I feel you, but
I think it's just the drama of the whole scenario too. Matt Rule is proving to not be an NFL coach.
He's a college guy. He's definitely
a college guy. We were hoping for big things from a defense with Jeremy Chin and Brian Burns and Derek Brown and all of that.
You made Jacoby Brissett.
Robbie Anderson had a good game, but this whole narrative.
The Panthers were dead. They were down 10 with 9.5 minutes to play, and then they immediately hit a long touchdown to Robbie. See, I actually thought that was if you had switched the jerseys on those two teams, we wouldn't have been able to tell them apart. I don't think. I think we wouldn't have been surprised if the Panthers were up that big and the Browns came back and made the drama the same way, but rules were reversed.
I think it's just a bad beat for both sides. You know what I mean?
I don't bad jersey game.
Bad everything.
That was just
it's just a slop,
that's not the NFL game. You show the aliens if they're show us your best American sporting product or we're gonna blow up the planet.
I didn't want to highlight the trash that is the Arizona Cardinals.
There's no need, man.
Who would ever be dumb enough to bet the Cardinals yesterday?
Yeah, Max, I saw that graphic. I don't really want to talk about a Jaguars Commanders matchup.
I want to place a Shaman Hex on Travis Etienne for his 4th down drop. That would have surely been a touchdown.
I could have gone to the AFC North here, but are you guys really I'll 2 questions, A and B. 1A, are you buying the Steelers? And 1B, are you buying the Bengals are that bad?
I'm not doing either. I don't know. I'm not doing
either.
But I will say that I'm more buying the Steelers just from the sense that Digis and I's quick conversation yesterday. It's really simple as 2 things, man. Mike Tomlin and, I guess now TJ Watt. I can't say this anymore, but that defense is amazing.
It comes down to one thing.
Comes down to one, but because you think about it, right? What's
the Steelers they'll never bottom out with Mike Tomlin, but
that's what I was going to say. What's the difference between Big Ben and Mitch Trubisky? Mitch Trubisky might be better.
He's better than the latest version of Ben Roethlisberger. Right. Mike Tomlin went 500 with Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph.
I laugh like it's a joke, but that's a confirmable fact.
His nickname is Duck, dude. Whatever. All right, back around.
Pre-COVID.
If you know how it works, you know how it works. We're going back around for winners. Josh Safran, your winner from the first week of the NFL season.
I can't believe I'm doing an all-encompassing winner right here. It's the NFC East, guys. The
We're back.
whole NFC
so back.
East won so hard yesterday. Let me quickly go through it. Look, honestly, the Eagles are the least winner of the entire NFC East. They almost blew it to the Lions, but nonetheless, put up 38 points with the very lots of smoke going on about the Eagles, and they put up 38 points and got a win in Detroit. We don't like them. We don't like Carson Wentz, but tip your cap to that guy. The revenge narrative on Doug Peterson is there. He had a fantastic game. He really did. And he beat Dougie P, man. Sure, the Commanders were favorites. They covered. And a ton of that was for Carson Wentz. I tip my cap to him. I don't root for him. Tip my cap to him. And fellas, the Giants. I mean, you knew there's something.
That's what I was going to do for mine, man.
I'm sorry.
No,
sorry.
you're good. I have a backup. We're good.
But it's the whole NFC East. The Giants, you knew something was fishy when that line was 4.5 or 5.5. It's that's way too low. So I'm not touching this game. Something's wrong. And look, I don't think they fixed anything. I don't think they solved anything. But that's culture change right there, going for 2 and getting it. That's not loser shit.
Daniel Jones still not the answer. Brian Daboll is the answer.
Exactly.
I haven't been worried about the Giants since the end of Eli Manning and Tom Coughlin, because they've done nothing but hire jokes at coach yep. and GM for the past 10 years. I'm worried that I'm worried that the Giants could be an attractive quarterback destination after this year.
Yes, I don't want to talk about that.
I don't
either. Daboll.
That's what I mean.
Fellas, to conclude things, I mean, need I say more than what we just mentioned? The Cowboys, in the snap of a finger, went from co-favorites of the division to the basement after one game. After one game, they're dead. Their season
they didn't even look good with Dak.
And the best part about the Cowboys thing is that Dak will come back early enough where they're like, Jerry's like, well, we got to try and make the playoffs, boys. Yeah. Yep. And they're going to win 6 games, and they're going to get a quarter. They're not going to get a good enough draft pick to get a true difference maker.
So yeah,
if he rushes it too before the deadline, if he rushes it, Jerry Jones will sell out.
Give me a Dak Prescott 4-week return because he has to come back against the Commanders for a 4:30 game or something.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect,
guys. I think there's zero doubt in my mind. Wait, real quick, can I throw this out there for digits? And I guess I mean, put yourself as an Eagles fan, Banners. Would you trade a second? This is a second round pick from the Cowboys for Gardner Minshew.
Yes.
No. Yeah. Hell no.
Absolutely. You think Gardner Minshew is good enough to save that roster? I don't.
I think Gardner Minshew gives them a puncher's chance, and I think they're doomed.
That's the most Eagles fan things you've said this whole show, Josh. You made it 51 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yeah, that's wild, bro.
Keeping it mostly reined in.
I wouldn't do it, man.
Let me qualify by saying this. I think Gardner Minshew is one of the top 4 most viable backups in the NFL right now, but I don't think that's good enough to save that roster because they look bad with Dak. I mean, I'm not saying Dak's a world beater.
We're stuck in this world where the Cowboys' offensive line has been so good for so long. It's been slowly falling apart the last couple of years, and this is the fall apart year, I think.
It's bad. Max Coolish, your week 1 winner.
I was going to go with the Giants. You guys know I'm the number 1 Bills truther. Brian Daboll made my boy Josh Allen a star. He's not going to do that with Daniel Jones, but please, dear God, do not let him do that to the next quarterback he gets his hands on. For my winner this week, I'm going to go with your Chicago Bears in honor of my recent trip to the Windy City. But let's be honest, man. The Bears, they caught a 49ers team that's probably going to be as weak as it'll ever be in a softy, ugly game like that with a bad, inexperienced quarterback. They got a good break with the Niners' best running back getting hurt. And let's be honest, that was a really feel-good moment. I'm sure you guys have seen the clip of all the Bears starters taking that final knee and going and belly sliding in front of the fans. That's going to be maybe the highlight of this Bears team. I feel like that fan base, it's all downhill from here in terms of overall vibe.
Live it up.
So I think you should enjoy it week 1. You were the biggest underdog of the week. You won outright. It wasn't pretty, but Justin Fields made a couple of big plays in the second half of that game that won the Bears that game. He straight up outperformed Trey Lance, who a lot of people with seemingly no basis think that Trey Lance is a better quarterback just because he's in a better situation. If the 49ers had Justin Fields, they would have been my pick to win the NFC West. That's how much of a disparity I think between those two quarterbacks. And that's not saying a lot because Justin Fields is below average at the moment. So I think the Bears, the vibes are high in Chicago right now. Unfortunately, they're catching Aaron Rodgers, part owner, off a loss. It's all downhill from here, but live it up while you got it, man. It was disgusting there. that is such a that's such a release after being stuck outside in that. You warm up in that, you sit on the sidelines while defense is on the field. You're out there for 4 hours. You come out of there with a hard-earned win in a sloppy game where you straight up dominated the other team at the line of scrimmage. You deserve to celebrate. You deserve to feel good.
So I could have gone a couple spots here. Like I could have gone the Texans as a joke. Like nobody, like I can't really. I don't
so
want to do
close,
that.
man. So close.
I could go Mike McDaniels and the Dolphins, but I still don't really believe in the Dolphins, and that's just kind of par for the course with Dolphins versus Patriots. Plus, Mac Jones got hurt.
Patriots
were more of a loser than the Dolphins were a winner, I'd say.
Exactly. So my
but
winner
Mike
here,
McDaniel, tip of the cap for the 4th and 7 that led to the Jalen Waddle touchdown.
Exactly. So my winner, he asked a question, and he goes, "Are you strong?" And we reply, "I'm strong if you strong." And I replied, "We strong then." Because my winner is Jameis Winston and the New Orleans Saints. We strong then.
Oh.
I'm strong if you strong. We strong then.
It's crazy that we made it this far talking about the losers, and we're just so accustomed to the Falcons doing what they did yesterday that nobody even thought to mention that.
Why would
this
you?
This is business as usual. Week 1, the Falcons are in mid-season form,
At
blowing
home, of course,
blowing
at
a
home.
9-point lead with 6.5 minutes to play at home to a division rival. I mean, it's what we've come to expect. That Super Bowl has legitimately broken that franchise until there's not a single person in that building. I'm talking all the way from Arthur Blank to the janitor, like even sweet Billy Bob, who's been a custodian at the Mercedes-Benz Arena for 47 years.
Bob.
Until every single person who was on the Atlanta Falcons payroll that season is no longer associated with that team in that building, that franchise has to be cursed. I can't explain it. I simply cannot explain it. They were 3 yards away from going up 16, potentially 17 points to losing the game on a 50-yard field goal with 15 seconds to go. It's impressive. It's truly, there's only one word for it, and it's truly Falcons-esque how they do it week after week.
So I'll tell you this right now. I think the Saints win the NFC South.
It seems a lot more feasible after this weekend.
The Bucks did not look good yesterday. Chris Godwin injured his hamstring again, but like the Saints roster, and this is coming from me, someone who still relives 2009.
That's one thing we'll always have as Eagles and Vikings fans, man. Fuck the Saints.
I still relive 2009 in my nightmares.
Pump the brakes.
I don't think they're a good team. I think the NFC South is a bad division.
Bucks defense is still so good.
Sure.
Well, the issue is the Bucks can't score against the Saints. They scored 10 points or 13 points total in 2 games.
The Saints defense is also very good. And hey, the return of Slantman. It happened. 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I wasn't buying it.
Return of Slantman. He
did exactly what he did too. He had like a 5-yard air target distance or something like that. Just absolutely chef's kiss game.
Oh yeah,
James absolutely chef's kiss performance from Michael Thomas. Exactly
James Winston averaged like 7.5 yards a throw. Like this is not a good Saints team. But it's a bad division.
But they are the best equipped to win 27 to 26 games in the division.
Yes.
Even though I think that number, like half the games they play this year, won't see 40 total points probably.
Yeah. And how could I not highlight just the human quote machine that just is Jameis Winston? So Jameis, where was the pain? Where was the pain yesterday? There was pain everywhere. Like you should, you need to go watch that clip because the guy's face.
He's a treasure. He's a media treasure. Maybe not a regular treasure.
Yeah.
Media treasure.
It's not just the answer. It's his delivery too, and like you could see it in his eyes. Like he knows what he was doing. Like he was so excited to give us more fodder for the Twitter machine. Like it's just,
dude. I mean, we don't have to It's such a dead horse, but the elbows and knees thing, like. He's like a stand-up comedian. Like he has delivery. It's kind of impressive.
Yeah.
He's eating W's. Like what is like this
so legendary, man.
The guy is just a living quote machine. And he at first he definitely did not know what he was doing, but now he knows what he's doing. So good job, Jameis.
He's definitely self-aware. I agree.
Yeah. So
the elbows.
Let's get out of here and get into our second half, our rapid fire second half, so we can get everybody out of here and home before Monday Night Football spins up, which figures to not be a great game, but we're still going to watch it anyway because it's week 1 of the NFL rapid fire. Yeah. We touched on it a little bit, and this one can be real quick. Are the Cowboys as screwed as it feels, Max?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's resounding yes from everybody?
Yes.
Resounding
Moving on. Which player surprised you the most in week 1 of the NFL season, Josh?
Ooh,
So
full lead.
I'll go.
Wow.
I'll go bad surprise here, and I think we'll all get a kick out of this one. How about Evan McPherson? Or is it Ewan or Evan? I don't know.
Evan.
Bengals kicker.
It's Evan.
Evan McPherson, Mr. Joe Cool. Like, all right, boys, we're going to the Super Bowl. What do you miss? 2 big kicks, or was it the one? Because
he got one blocked.
He got one blocked.
He got the game-winning point after blocked.
But the game-winning field goal might have been the worst kick I've seen since I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
Graham Gano. I mean,
Ooh.
There were a lot.
In his defense, laces were in, not out on that one.
Dude,
they were.
Sure, but I mean,
But still, under 30 yards, you don't get laces in excuse.
It was bad, man. And I don't know, there was a couple different routes I could have gone, but then right before you asked me this, I was like, you know what? That was pretty shocking because in a week where all the kickers were awful, the one guy you would count on is like, oh, McPherson, he's got ice in his vein. He doesn't miss any of these kicks, and it was the worst kick I've ever seen.
That was pretty bad. It was not as bad as the unrelated. I know we never talk college football here. If you want to see a really bad a kick attempt, go look up Texas A&M's. I believe it was a field goal attempt from Saturday. It was awful. I mean, it was so bad it didn't even make it to the end zone, I don't think, and it didn't get tipped. It was quite literally the worst.
Texas A&M was one of the teams that paid their opponent like over $1 million to come play and beat them. Right?
I think it was like almost 1.5, rounded up to 1.5.
You love that story. You love that story. Who surprised you in a bad way, Max?
Wait, does it have to be in a bad way?
Doesn't have to.
Doesn't have to be.
Man, this is tough.
That'd be fun though.
It's so hard. I wish this is one of the few times I've ever wished I looked at the script so I had time to prepare. I guess it shouldn't be a surprise, but Justin Jefferson quite literally carried the Vikings to a victory yesterday. And we all know Aaron Rodgers loves making stories about himself. I'm not sure he was lying when he said Justin Jefferson's the best player in the NFL.
Well, he said
I'm really not sure if he was.
I'm pretty sure he said best player. I think he meant yesterday, 9/11, 2022.
Okay, well, still, I'm still not totally sure. I guess I'm saying I shouldn't be surprised by this, but I don't think this will be the last time Justin Jefferson has a 200-yard receiving game.
I agree. Oh, man.
And I don't want to sound like a Giants fan, but Saquon Barkley was the other one.
Oh,
you! God damn it, Max!
Really sorry. I'm sorry. I should just get my stupid.
What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? Doesn't count.
What do I? Who do I do now? This is tough.
Go with Saquon.
I gotta go. I don't know.
Patrick Mahomes is a good.
I'm not surprised by that.
Why would you be surprised by that? He was almost my winner.
I'll be honest. I didn't think the Chiefs would look as good as they did.
Thank you.
They looked like they didn't miss a beat without the fastest guy in the NFL.
I
didn't think any team could do.
I was not on the boat that the Chiefs are going to look any different. I was. I
think they had to. I didn't think there's a way they couldn't look different. And I guess they're going to be the first team in history to successfully replace one guy with two guys. But
I'm going to do it here.
1 for 1 so far.
Carson Wentz surprised me.
Damn, I like that, Banners. It's a great pull. He played a pretty good game. He had one classic Wentz interception in the second half. But
otherwise –
he was really good. The deep ball to Terry McLaurin was absolutely perfect. Yep. And I think
Dotson's second touchdown was
I think it was the second touchdown that Dotson caught was a really, really good connection in general.
Yeah. Carson Wentz surprised the heck out of me because last year there was not much of that last year in Indianapolis. And I think we might be looking at the end of the Frank Reich era here soon, fellas, in Indianapolis.
I said this to the people I was with. What if it turns out that Frank Reich rode Doug Peterson's coattails to a Super Bowl? Have we ever considered that?
Maybe.
No.
Maybe. No, Carson Wentz. You know what? Honorable mention here to Jahan Dotson. He should now be on your radar, fantasy-wise and just name-wise.
Yeah.
Jahan Dotson looks like the real deal here.
The football team may not be as easy of an out as we thought at the beginning of the season.
I told you they scared me. I knew that at least the first half of the year.
And Chase Young will definitely be back by at least the second matchup. So we'll see. It's Carson Wentz. Good job. I don't anticipate saying that much this year, but good job. Last rapid fire. Gentlemen, yesterday was capped off by a Phillies win. And that Phillies win very, very quietly completed their second straight series sweep. After an interminable long
the sky was
rain
falling.
delay. Yeah, it seemed like this game wasn't going to get played. are you going to be able to watch the Phillies during the week? Like, are you going to turn this team on? It's against bad teams. Like, it kind of feels like the Phillies luster has faded, Max. Like, what are we doing with these Phils?
I mean, let's be honest. Phillies never stood a chance against week 1 of the NFL season. They're not going to stand a chance when reality hits people towards the end of next week and they realize the Eagles are playing their home opener. But with that said, I think it's good the Phillies are quiet. I didn't realize the Phillies had swept 2 straight series until I saw it on our very handy-dandy convenient scroll bar down here. I had known they've been winning games, but it did not click in my mind that they have won 6 consecutive games at this point. So I feel great. I almost don't want to care about the Phillies because it's been working out so well for the last week, when the last time I really truly cared about the Phillies and was hardcore on them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Your banners is wrong. I'm wrong. They won 2 straight series. They lost. They dropped 1 to the Marlins. That's on me.
All right.
That's okay. It's okay.
The sentiment stands.
The sentiment stands that the Phillies it's been quiet on the red front down in South Philly. And I wanted to stay that way because that typically means that they're winning and it's not very exciting. And it's just kind of like season's winding down. They're playing bad teams who don't really have anything to play for but individual stats. That's how it should be. We shouldn't be dropping games to like the Nationals and the Cubs and the Pirates and the Diamondbacks and teams that are at this point 3 weeks away from getting to their vacations.
They're getting quiet at the right time too, because Sir Anthony Dominguez is making a return to the big leagues after his IL stint. Zach Eflin pitched 2 scoreless innings in a rehab stint, just as the bullpen and the arms up at the big league club were looking like they were getting tired and needed a little bit of a lift. We're getting one at the very right time. Josh, what do you feel about these red pinstripes?
I don't know.
My God,
I'm
the most up and down Phillies watcher of all time.
Yeah. I've tasted the forbidden fruit of NFL football, and it's just tough.
It's kind of correct.
It's tough, man. And then it's also tough when it's I don't know. Like the only thing they can do at this point is do what I expect them to do, or make me angry. So I'm sure.
Yeah, we kind of left the Phillies in timeout for too long after how they started September.
I'll put the game on tomorrow, but are you kidding me? It's Chargers Chiefs on Thursday night. Ain't no way I'm watching the Phillies. Let's be real, fellas. It's just how it goes. If it gets tight again, sure, I'll watch them. But wake me up when September ends, gents.
I have watched pretty much every game.
That's crazy. I went to the Marlins game on the Gene walk-off game. I was there, and it was just so dead. The ballpark was so dead. It was
it's getting kind of depressing, unfortunately. September is historically a bad month for this franchise, but I mean, it's to the point where I'm still following prospects. Andrew Painter had another 5 innings.
I actually saw that as a suggested tweet on Twitter.
It's all you know how to
by
do,
the Iron Pigs account or whatever.
Mick Abel with another 5 innings of 1-run ball with 4 Ks. Johan Rojas is heating up this month. Boys, there's a kid in AA who's kind of shot through the Phillies system. His name is Carlos De La Cruz. He is 6'8". I'm not saying he's our version of Aaron Judge, but he is the closest thing that the Phillies system has to Aaron Judge. He's hitting 280 something in AA right now.
Bring him up.
Be on the lookout. So I will never be fully out on these.
And we appreciate you for that.
And it is, I don't know if it's more of a curse than a gift at this point, but we'll see. We'll
find out real soon.
We will. All right, with that, let's get out of here. Let's do our tap outs. My tap out is, if you were not watching it, you missed one of the most eventful U.S. Opens in a very long time. You should get to know the name Frances Tiafoe.
This is my tap out last Monday, man. Just pat myself on the back.
Yeah, the best name in American tennis since probably Andy Roddick and Marty Fish when they were young. Had one hell of a semifinal match against the eventual winner, Carlos Alcaraz, he was touted as a future number 1 coming through juniors. But this kid just won the U.S. Open as the 3 seed at 19 years old, and I don't know
he's going to be the first teenager ever at number 1, right?
I don't know if anything has ever made me feel worse about where I am in life than that. He's so fun to watch.
He can't drink legally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he drank.
He can in Spain.
He can in Spain, yes. So it's tennis is in a ton of great hands going forward with all the young talent at the top. So hopefully they just ended their scheduled year for the ATP, kicks off with the Australian Open early next year. So if you can get on the hype for tennis train, hop on.
Absolutely.
Anybody else?
I got nothing really. I mean, I'll
one.
say that week 1 for me, real quick betting talk. Barely bet, gentlemen. Just barely bet. I just felt weird. I needed to see some football in action before I really got down to it. Having said that, I am not one to get scared of public betting. I saw something like 85% of money is coming in on the Broncos tonight. And I'm going to take the Broncos tonight.
I'm already on the
I'd
Broncos.
be on the Broncos, yeah.
I took them last night when I thought the line was going to go to 7.
I thought it was going to go to 7. I'm seeing 6.5.
What's it at?
I'm seeing 6.
6.5. It's been 6.5 all day.
So, and here's something else for
That's
you. A little
tasty.
food for thought. Broncos money line, Russell Wilson to throw 220 yards, even odds. I don't know. I don't know. That's my tap out.
I'll be quick and I'll get us out of here on this.
You got me thinking.
I'm not even going to apologize. I'm not even going to say I don't want to sound insensitive. This honoring the Queen of England shit at American sporting events is dumb. I will say it. It's stupid. It's pointless. Quite honestly, the favor is not reciprocated between American presidents and any other countries. England doesn't do this. It's ridiculous enough that the British have a law from when men wore powder wigs that the whole country needs to shut down for 12 days when a monarch dies. It's bad enough that they're doing that, and they canceled last weekend in VPL, and they might cancel this weekend in VPL, and they're really throwing me off my schedule here. With that being said, if you don't want people to boo another country's leader for dying, don't show them on a big board in a country that has no affiliation. You think the people of India were were sad when Queen Elizabeth died? No, because she colonized them. And if it wasn't for 250 years ago, we'd still be under that English rule too. So as far as I'm concerned, it has no place. And I know you guys know that I'm usually pretty, even keel with political stuff. To me, this is just stupid. It's posturing, and quite honestly, the monarchy is all for show in England anyway. Queen Elizabeth never did anything besides kill Princess Diana. That's the most famous thing she's ever done. She deserves no public recognition and moment of silence in a country that she had nothing to do with. It's stupid.
Let's be honest. The hands that she's leaving in are not the cleanest hands.
Exactly.
Well.
It's ridiculous. I didn't even want to get into that side of things. So you almost wound me up banners, but just
I can't believe you're disrespecting Her Majesty so much, man.
It's insane. It's genuinely insane. We don't celebrate any other colonizers and imperialists in 2022.
Besides ourselves.
Besides ourselves.
No, we don't. I guess
we don't even celebrate ourselves anymore.
It's a little different. I think you get a little bit more leeway when you've had to decolonize. But we've done our fair share of dumb shit. But that's my point. Nobody's like Ronald Reagan, great guy. We gotta stop our Afghanistan Premier League for 2 weeks because Ronald Reagan died. George Bush died. Oh man, what a shame. Hey, Iran, let's take 2 weeks off because George Bush died, President of America. We all know how much that guy meant to us. That's not how it works.
And to continue my betting thing, I did one thing the second I heard the news. I went down to the good old FanDuel app, $5, England to win the World Cup. It's coming home now. It's coming home now.
Holy Jesus. All right. Well, that's going to be it for us. It's going to be it for us, Darren.
It had to be said, man. It's pointless.
It had to be said.
I mean, one last thing I'll leave it on. Unquestionably, Twitter, one of the best Twitter days of all time was Thursday. Unquestionably. One of the best.
It was up there. It's definitely up there. All right.
Get me out of here. I got to go. I got 6 minutes. I got to do stuff before the game starts.
I got a lot of stuff to do.
If you didn't catch us live, you can catch us live next week at the same place, same time. If you weren't here with us, you can catch us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, blah, 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 anywhere in between, blah. As always, we are brought to you by Mighty Philly, where something's always new and everything's always Philly. We'll catch you next week. Boys, we'll talk about it. It might not be at the same time next week. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Because we got a very important game, which is going to be because I have a pregame to do, so it can't be same day, same time. So more than likely, everybody, you were going to get us for a reaction show later in the week than Monday, which is actually kind of lends itself better to our programming. So be on the lookout for our social media for scheduling. We'll give you updates as we ourselves get updates from ourselves. We'll see you next week, Philly.